Hello everyone, welcome to Epic SaaS and the series of Salesforce development. Today I'll be discussing how to use SOQL in Salesforce. But before we deep dive into today's topic, here's a short introduction about me. My name is Yash Sethi. I'm a senior Salesforce developer, a trailblazer mentor, and the co-founder of Crazy Cloud YouTube channel, where we learn Salesforce in a very unique manner. You can connect me on LinkedIn and you can subscribe to the channel onto the below QR codes. So the agenda of today's topic is what is SOQL, basics of SOQL, the relationship queries, SOQL in Apex, and how to use SOQL in for loops. So first, let's understand what is SOQL. SOQL stands for Salesforce Object Query Language. It is a query language specifically designed for querying data in Salesforce databases. SOQL is used to retrieve records from Salesforce objects, which are essentially database tables. SOQL syntax is similar to SQL, but there are some differences as it is tailored for Salesforce's data model. In SOQL, you can query records based on conditions, filter criteria, and relationship between objects. So basically, SOQL is nothing but a query language specifically designed for Salesforce. So we all know that SQL is a structured query language which is used into the other databases to query some records from the databases. But SOQL is specifically designed for Salesforce. It can only be used into Salesforce ecosystem to query some records, to query some data from only and only Salesforce database, right? So in other databases, we have tables to store data, but in Salesforce, we do have objects to store data. So whenever we want to fetch some records from those objects, we always use SOQL, which is Salesforce Object Query Language. Okay, so now what are the basics of SOQL? So these are some basic terminologies, or let's say some basic terms of SOQL. So first of all, the select statement, then from clause. There are multiple clauses in Salesforce Object Query Language. Some of them are from, where, order by, and limit, right? Now let's understand what are some examples of SOQL, how to write SOQL, how SOQL looks like. Okay, so these are some basic examples of SOQL. We'll definitely try these into our org. So first, this is a very basic query, which is select ID comma name from account. What this query is doing is this is only fetching ID and name field from the account object, right? So this query will fetch all the account records, but only the fields which include ID and name. The second query is select name comma email from contact where account ID equals to this record ID. Okay, so how to write SOQL is first you need to write the select statement, this select statement. Then you need to mention all the fields, which you need to fetch data, right? ID and name are the fields. Then you need to write the from which object you want the records, right? So here select ID comma name from account will retrieve all the account records with ID and name fields. Then select name comma email from contact. This query will fetch all the contacts, but here we have a where clause. This where clause will filter all the records of the contact. So where account ID field equals to this. So this query will only fetch the contacts which have the account ID equals to this record ID, right? So where clause always appends after the object name. So here we are using where clause after the object name. Then select name, industry, annual revenue from account. Till here, This will return all the account records with the fields name, industry, and annual revenue. Now we are using where clause after the object name, where industry equals to technology. So this query will return all the account records with the fields name, industry, and annual revenue, where industry is technology. So suppose there are 1,000 records of account, but out of those 1,000 records, only 100 records are having industry as technology. So this query will only return 100 records, not the 1,000, because we have the where statement, where clause, where industry equals to technology, and order by annual revenue. So order by annual revenue will this order by is to sort the data by annual revenue, right? And this desk is nothing but decreasing and then limit 5. So what this query will return is all the account records where the industry is technology. It will order all the results by annual revenue in the decreasing order. And then we have limit 5. It means it will only limit the records to 5. No matter how many records you will have, if you have 10 records, if you have 100 records, it will only return 5 records. Just a second. Okay. So now the fourth is select first name, last name, email, phone from contact, where account dot industry is equals to finance. Okay. Now this query till here will return all the contacts with the fields first name, last name, and email and phone. But where account dot industry means account is the parent of contact. So account dot industry means the field of the parent object. So industry is the field on account. It will only return the contacts where the parent account's industry is finance. And mailing city is New York. And then again, it will limit the results to 10 records only. Okay. So now let's understand how relationship queries works in Salesforce SOQL. So here also you can see that account.industry is a relationship query, right? So let's understand how it works. So here in Salesforce, we do have child and parent objects, and both are related to each other, right? So in SOQL, child to parent relationship we have, and also we have parent to child relationship, self relationship query. Self relationship means you are fetching a user from a user, right? We'll definitely see an example of self relationship query. Then we have nested relationship query, and then we have related lists. Okay, now let's see how child to parent relationship works. So in child to parent, while you go child to parent in SOQL, you always need to use the dot annotation. You can remember this, that if you are querying or if you are using the SOQL on the contact object, and if you want to fetch the related account's name, then you have to use the dot annotation. What dot annotation means is, here we can see that we are using the query on the contact object. Why? Because after from we have contact, right? Now, if I want to suppose there's a contact with the name Yash, right? And the account of Yash is Apixars, right? The name of account is Apixars, and industry is education, right? Now, if I want to fetch Yash contact with its account's name and industry, then this query will work. Dot annotation means that you have to use the object name, the parent object name, then dot, and then the field name, the API names, right? So here select account.name, account.industry from contact will return you the Apex hours name and the education industry from the contact of Yash. Correct? Now, if you want to use the parent to child basically means you are moving forward, like you are moving in towards child from parent, right? Here we are using the query on to the parent object, which is account, and I want to fetch all the contacts associated to that account. In that case, we are going from parent to child. And whenever we are going parent to child, we have to use the inner queries. What does inner queries means? Here, select name, comma, one inner query. You can see in the small brackets. Select last name from contacts, from account. So this is an inner query, right? This is an inner query. So what it will return is all the account records with a list of associated contacts. So suppose in account object we have a record with the name ApexSARS, and ApexSARS do have 10 contacts, right? So this query will return the ApexSARS name field and a list of all the contacts related to ApexSARS. Okay. Now this is API name of the object, and this will be a child relationship name of the relationship field, right? So here you can see that we are not using from contact. We are using from contacts. Why contacts? Because contacts is the child relationship name of the relationship field between account and contact. So we know that account and contact do have a relationship field, right? That's why they are connected. So you can go to the field and find the child relationship name of the relationship field. I'll definitely show you after we this PPT. This is how self relationship query works. Select name from reports underscore R. This is for the custom objects from report C. This is the nested relationship query. Select name, account.name. This is the nested field. Nested means field under field. So account dot owner dot name. Owner is again an object. Account.owner will give you a record ID, but account.owner.name will give you a name. Then we have related lists. Select name. This is again we have the inner query for the custom objects. Here, SOQL in Apex. So we know that SOQL is a Salesforce object query language which can fetch all the records using the query from our Salesforce database. You can use SOQL and Apex to query records from the Salesforce databases. When dealing with the large datasets, it's often necessary to query records in batches to avoid hitting governor limits. So I hope you all know that what are governor limits. Governor limits are basically some restrictions to fetch the records, the number of records you can fetch. So Salesforce basically enforces some governor limits so that nobody can create a monopoly onto the server. So SOQL also have some governor limits that you can only use this much. You can only use this much SOQLs in an Apex transaction. One SOQL can only give you some 50,000 records, right? If you want to work with a large data set where you are having millions of records, you can always use the SOQL in for loops, or you can use the batch classes, right? Now, how to use SOQL in for loops? So here you can see that this is a for each loop, the first and second line. For each loop, list of contact list, and then this is query. So this query will return 100 records from contact. 100 records from contact, and one by one, these contacts will go into the for loop. The logic will execute, and the system.debug will get printed. Okay, so let's understand. Let's go to the developer console, and let's understand how it works. You can go to your Salesforce org and open your developer console with me. You can open this query editor, and here let's first write the basic SOQL. Select is the first keyword that you need to use. Select, let's say, ID, comma, name from account, right? So it will return all the accounts with the field ID and name. Let's execute this query and see. We have total 561 records in account object, and these are the ID and name of those objects. Correct? Let's say name, comma, industry. See, even if you do not have industry field in some accounts, it will again return you the records, right? Because we are asking for all the accounts. We have not yet used anywhere clauses, any limit conditions, right? Okay, now what if I want, see, currently we have 561 records. Now, what if I want to have only those records where industry is not null? I don't want these records because these do not have industry, right? So let's put a where condition where industry is not equals to null, which is blank. Let's execute this and see. Only 26 records are having industry fields and are having some values in the industry field, right? Now, what if I want to have only 5 records? Then I need to use the limit clause, limit 5. And see, we are only having 5 records here. So this is how SOQL works in Salesforce. There are many clauses which you can use. You can just go to the Salesforce developer guide for the more clauses. Let's say Salesforce SOQL. Here you can see all the select statement. These are the clauses, right? First the select statement, then type of, using scope, where, with, group by, having, order by, limit, offset. These are some clauses. Okay, now let's go to the our examples and try one by one. Select name, comma, email from contact where account ID equals to this. Okay, let's see how the parent to child query works. Select ID, comma, name from contact, right? So this is the ID and this is the name. What if I want to have the account ID as well? Then comma account ID. It will return me an account ID. But what if I want to have the name of the account, not the record ID? Then we have to use the child to parent. And whenever we are using child to parent, we have to use the dot annotation. Basically, the parent object name dot the field name. So let's see account dot name. So it will return the name of the account. So grandparent is the name, parent one is the name, right? See, batch, edge communications. Correct. So this is how the child to parent will work. Here we are using the main query onto the child object, and then we are going to the parent object. So it will use the dot annotation. Now let's see how parent to child works. So whenever we go from parent to child, we always need to use the inner queries, right? So let's say select ID comma name from account. This is the main parent query onto the account object. Now, what if I want to have all the contacts associated to this account? Then comma one inner query. Inner query means select. This also, the inner query also works as a field, right? See, select ID comma name comma a field. So this is a query, but works as a field into the parent object, parent query. Select, let's say select ID comma name from contacts. Why contacts? Because we have to use the child relationship name here, right? Into the child query. Whenever you are using the child query, you have to use the child relationship name. Let's see where the child relationship name comes. So you just need to go to the associated field between account and contact. So the field gets created onto the child side, right? So let's go to the contact. See, this is the lookup between account and contact. Open this field, and here you will have this child relationship name. See, contacts, right? That is why we are using contacts. What if you use contact, not contacts? Execute. You'll get an error, right? So that's why you have to use contacts from account. Correct? Okay. Now let's jump on to the assignment. So just watch this video again, understand the basic concepts. You can ask me if you have any doubt, you can ask me into the comment section. This is the assignment you need to do in your orgs, and if you have any doubts, you can ask me into the comment sections. The first question is write a SQL query to fetch the 5 most recently created leads. It means you have to make a query on lead object using the created date field, and you have to fetch only 5 records, right? Now write a query on the account object to retrieve all the accounts with all the associated contacts. Then this is the third question, to retrieve all the account records with their associated opportunities, not the contacts this time. Where the opportunities close date is in the future, include only the account name, opportunity name, and the close date in the results. So this is the assignment. You have to complete this assignment into your perspective org. And if you have any doubt regarding this video, you can ask me into the comment section. And you can follow FXRs onto these below platforms. This is our Twitter ID, this is our website, and the YouTube channel. Thank you so much.